That speech really shows the problems that the Labor Party actually have, because David Parker, a very nice, pleasant, naive fellow, trying to explain where they're at with economic policy, and frankly, none of that makes sense to the person in the street. Well, the fact is it was a whole lot of garbage. In economic terms, David Parker is like the bloke at the rugby club who still showers in his underpants. That's where he's at. Totally naive and out of touch. He's got this policy thing he's calling the big tool. Well, the problem is no one out there in the real world can understand what the heck he's talking about. It's all academic mumbo-jumbo. It's no wonder that David Parker is not an electorate MP, because quite frankly, he has no connection with real people. Just like David Cunliffe, his leader, who makes out he's been a guy who's sheared sheep and done all this sort of stuff. In actual fact, yeah, his granddad was a war hero or whatever. Well, that wasn't true. In actual fact, David Cunliffe hides out in his Herne Bay mansion pretending to be Newland blue-collar man, and it just doesn't work. But I tell you what, it was very interesting. I don't know if you listened to Radio New Zealand this morning, but Guy Nespiner asked Grant Robertson, do you think your leader should reveal the details of his secret trust? And I tell you what, Grant Robertson would not back up David Cunliffe, would not back him. And what that indicates, Grant Robertson was one of the 68% of people in the Labor caucus who didn't want David Cunliffe as leader. But the problem they've got is the Labor leadership now is for sale. And who have they sold it to? They have sold the leadership to the unions. So basically 70% of unions voted for Cunliffe. Now the Labor Party has to deliver on what the unions want. And that's a real problem, because actually what the unions want is not what New Zealand wants. So these people, as Stephen Joyce has said, they've been caught up in all sorts of distractions all week. Meanwhile, National is delivering for New Zealanders. So fantastic economic growth. 3 to 4% growth in GDP predicted over the coming year. 68,000 jobs created over the past year. Balance of payments extremely healthy. Terms of trade, the best they've been for a long, long time. David Cunliffe, he was going on about interest rates. You know what they were under Labor in 2008? First mortgage, 11%. That party was crippling the average Kiwi. So those guys don't have the record to stand on. David Parker, he was also talking about stuff about overseas investment, how he was going to do this and that. New Zealand wasn't for sale. Well, David Parker, their finance spokesman, personally signed off much, much more land in his 5 years doing the job than we have in our entire time in government. So these guys, they talk one game in opposition, they're totally different in government. And I tell you what, we are just focusing on getting on with the job. So we are focused on health, on education, on the economy and law and order, the things that matter to New Zealanders. Cochlear implants, Tony Ryle today announcing $6.2 million so kids can hear. That makes a real difference. Paula Bennett, her announcement for sexual violence counselling services in the budget, $10 million, so important. The Christchurch announcement, paying $3,000 to get beneficiaries off their backsides down to Christchurch to work and develop a career, add something to the economy. We are tackling real problems. These guys are just making it up. We haven't heard any policy from Labor apart from the big tool. But you know how bad it's got over there? It's got so bad that they have had to promote Trevor Mallard to be their economic development spokesman. So Trevor, who was finished, who the New Zealand public hate, now they've had to put him into number 5 because the only guy there with any economic clues, Shane Jones, has actually said, I'm out of here. I'm not going to be part of any Labor Green setup because, what did he say? He said Labor and the Greens together will not be promoting economic development. So Shane Jones knows which way it's going. Shane Jones knows that it makes sense to come and work for the government of New Zealand because we focus on what Kiwis care about. And when it comes to the election, people are going to put all the rubbish... that's David Clark, North Dunedin. He's the guy who says he'll ban Google from New Zealand. What an idiot! That's the standard we've got. He's another shower in his underpants bloke, the vicar from Dunedin, who thinks he can help run the economy. I tell you what, those people are in trouble big time. But we are delivering health, education, lowest crime rates in 25 years, kids achieving at school, the Polynesian community achieving. I can tell you what, they can say what they like, but the public know which side the bread is buttered on.
Dr. Kennedy Graham. Dr. Kennedy Graham.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Yesterday, the United States